Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program we have a band called Lillian Axe. And Lillian Axe has been around for a really long time. I mean, as long as I know, to be honest, because they formed the year I was born. So their story is tenured and it has a lot of layers. There's band members that have come and gone at different points, but we have the chance to talk to Steve Blaze, who's one of the founding members, and he has some really great stories about his time with the band. Also of note, they have a new album that's coming out August 19th called From Womb to Tomb. Definitely recommend checking it out. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears is put into it. Really recommend it. But we'll get into that with Steve here in a little bit. Before we do, I want to pay note to a couple of things. First off, this Drake Mallard over here, which is it's awesome. I'm really super excited about it because it was my first Drake Mallard that I harvested from duck hunting, and I got it on opening day of duck season last year. So actually, I'll do something I hadn't planned on, but I'll share a photo for those that are on YouTube of it close up, so you can see it. But that's my Drake Mallard. And I got it taxidermied and just got it back this week and mounted it on my wall, and super proud of that mallard. It's going to bring back those memories for me every time I look at it, which is really cool. And I guess this is becoming kind of my hunting room of sorts. I mean, as I slowly start to put pieces into it. I mean, this picture here was from one of my favorite hunts that I was on as well, and it was just beautiful sunrise. That's incredible. So, but I'm slowly pulling together stuff for my new house here, and it's feeling good. I have a lot of driving to do tomorrow as the day of this taping, which is fun, I guess. Next couple weekends, there's going to be a couple weekends up ahead that I'm going to be doing a lot of driving, or I guess not even just weekends, but times. But I'm going to be driving, taking my son out to visit my buddy Jay in Lincoln, which is like an hour and a half away, and then we go in the opposite direction. And I drop him back off at his mom's after we hang for a bit, and then I go to Napa, and I'm going to see Third Eye Blind and Taking Back Sunday in Napa, which is really cool. I haven't seen Third Eye Blind since probably like 2001, maybe somewhere around there. It's been eons since I've seen them. And Taking Back Sunday, I've seen a good handful of times. They're always great live. One of my favorites, and it will be great to see Cute Without the E cut from the team. Their biggest single, and so many other hits that they play. They put on a really good live show, and I love them. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to get to go with my daughter to that show, which is pretty cool. She doesn't know their music and doesn't really care much, but she'll get to spend some time with her dad, and that's what it's all about, right? That's what's important. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be heading to Nevada to visit my friend Colleen and see her favorite band with her, Dave Matthews Band. It's actually the only band that she likes, and so I'm humoring her. We got some expensive tickets to his show. Tickets were not cheap to the old Dave show at State Line in Nevada, and I'm taking the trip and heading out there, and then heading down south from that for Dove opener, and you're going to do first hunting in months and months and months. So looking forward to that. I've only hunted dove once and wasn't successful. There weren't any dove at the place where I was hunting, where I was told that there would be. So we'll see how that turns out, but exciting stuff ahead for sure. And the kids are about to start school as well, which is exciting and nerve-wracking for them a little bit. So a lot of changes coming down the pike, and bands coming up on the show. I mean, the bands keep on coming, and we have great interviews around the corner. So again, this one is Lillian Axe. I think we should just get right into it and get into my interview with Steve Blaze. Here it is.
How's it going, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good. How's your day treating you so far?
Good so far, man. No problems, no issues yet.
That's a good way to start, right? So
I'm telling you, man. Let me see.
very
Can you
cool.
see me okay? I'm good?
Yep, you're framed up well, looking good.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time and looking forward to our chat today.
Oh, man, my pleasure, brother. My pleasure, man.
Yeah, so we have a lot to talk about with the new album, but I kind of like to start from the beginning as well. So
Sure.
tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of how your musical taste started out, what you listened to as a kid.
Wow, that's a long story, but in a nutshell, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Started playing guitar when I was 6 years old. It was a birthday present for my 6th birthday, and it was like a $19 acoustic guitar and a cardboard box. And so my folks immediately got me into guitar lessons at school. And according to the instructor, I outgrew the class in a couple of months. So then I went on. He said, "You got to go. He's got the gift for this. So you need to, if he likes it, you got to take the next level." So we did. I got into private guitar lessons, started playing classical and flamenco for years and years, and then like in my teens, got into like listen to radio, learning the great songwriters and learning about songs, and then got into my dad bought me my first album was Alice Cooper School's Out, and the rest is history. I just loved music. So but I was classically trained, so I didn't, it was a whole different thing. I was reading music and playing with fingers, and and then when I got into that, it was like a whole new instrument almost. So I just started learning and teaching myself based off of what I had already learned. Next thing you know, I'm like in 7th grade writing songs about monsters and graveyards and ghosts and demons and whatnot, and life, and then putting bands together in high school with people that didn't even play instruments just because we had to be on stage somewhere. And it just developed, and until I got in my first band, in late teens, and then just built from there. So that's kind of how I got started. I was really like classical and flamenco guitar when I first started playing guitar as a child.
Yeah.
And
So it sounds like your dad was pretty influential and kind of supportive of you, as you were getting started and everything.
Oh, I was blessed with amazing parents, and yeah, my dad was and mom both supported me heavily, and I was doing well in school. I was playing sports. I was doing everything. So it wasn't like I was a reclusive child that only locked myself in the bedroom and just played guitar all day long. I did some of that too, but I was busy doing other things and playing guitar and trying to put bands together and do little 13 14-year-olds trying to put concerts on in the garage and stuff like that. So they were incredibly supportive. And my dad passed away 20 years ago, and the sad part of it is that he was such. I mean, the night our first video came out on MTV, he was dressed up in like cowboy boots and shorts and a cowboy hat and a bandana around his neck when they played the first video, and he introduced me to Alice Cooper. My first concert was Alice Cooper. He took me to.
Wow.
He passed away before he got the opportunity to see us tour with Alice Cooper, which would have been amazing. I would have gotten a chance to introduce my dad to Alice, and I never did. I mean, I know he's looking at me from above, but just the opportunity for him, just kind of came full circle when we did that, because Alice was pretty much like my first introduction into rock, and like my fave. People say, if you had to pick one fave influence from the beginning, it would have been Alice Cooper.
And so when you toured with him, when you met him, I mean, were you able to kind of express some of that gratitude and like how big of a fan you were? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I did. And the good part about it is, I was at the part of my career where I wasn't fanboy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, Alice Cooper, oh, hi. I was at the point where I could like have a conversation, because the first time we played with him, he came in the dressing room after, and he goes, "Man, you guys are really good." And he's like, we started talking because he was on MCA around the time we were, and we started commiserating about how badly MCA treated us. And he said, "Yeah, same thing happened to him. They told him they didn't ever want to see him there in the office again." It was like a bad situation for him, even at that point in his career. He's still getting treated horribly by a label. So I got to tell him about my dad. I got to actually, I had a friend of mine that had a connection at the Dallas Cowboys golf course, their private resort, and got to take Alice golfing one morning when we were on the road and we played in Dallas. So got to spend
Oh,
the
that's
day,
awesome.
in the golf cart with him. And he's an amazingly great guy. That's down to earth. He's a Christian, good moral dad, and he's been through a lot, and he is just the consummate pro. So, but I got to tell him about my dad and a situation like that. He thought it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. And so tell me a little bit about Oz and kind of how Oz came about, and also working with Michael Darby. Before you got into Lillian Axe. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, I was in my first year of college. I was at LSU. So when I came back from there, because I stayed at the dorms, I was like, I know this is what I want to do. Yeah, I'll keep on the college thing, but I want to play music. So I don't remember who it was that told me there was a band, and they were like a 4-piece, and they were looking for another guitar player. Now, I'm a classical guitar player at the time. I think I had one electric guitar, really didn't know much about, a whole lot about lead playing and stuff, but, my technique was very good, and, and I'm a quick learner and stuff. So I got in with these guys, and at first it's funny because at first I was like just the rhythm guitar guy, and I was probably, I don't know, what was I, 19 or something like that. And so, I'm just kind of learning this whole band dynamic with actually guys that can play. So we kept playing, and we went out as Oz for a little while, and then that band changed. Like the other guitar player wound up leaving. I think he'd gotten stage fright or something. They didn't want to play, and so it kind of got thrown into my lap. And they're like, "Man, you can handle this. You can do this." So right then and there, it's like full on. All right, I got to start learning all these leads, and it was a greatest educational thing for me, because I actually had to force myself to learn how to play rock guitar. Now, playing classical and flamenco, all the technique was great. The knowledge, the theory was all there. It's like, how do you apply that? How does that work with this new style of playing, right? It worked out. We kept playing out, got popular. And then we had a manager that tried to steal the name Oz. And so I said, you know what? We need a clean break, fresh start here. Let's change the name of the band, right? So we did. I came up with the name Lillian Axe. I can tell you, I remember the night I saw a Creep Show, the movie, first time, and the one scene in that of a bridesmaid skeleton in this little boy's window inspired me to come up with a senile old lady name. Lillian just popped into my head, and then Lillian Axe, it was just like an epiphany. And I remember like being at about 2 blocks from our singer's house, and I said, Lillian, that's it. Okay. I pulled over, went right to his apartment, knocked on the door. Hey, just want to let you know, I got the name. I hope you like it, because that's what it's going to be. And they all fortunately liked it. And so, and that was it. We stuck with that from then. That was in 83 or 82.
83,
My
yeah.
Lord. Yeah, man. It's like,
Yeah.
Seems like it doesn't seem that long ago, but in actuality, in some instances, I think back, and that was a long time ago. It's 40 years, man. It's crazy.
It does seem a while to me, because that was the year I was born. So not to date myself.
All right, you youngster.
Just there were a couple things born in that year. One was me, the other was Lillian Axe, right? So
well, I like to tell people I was like 3 when I started the band, so but they don't buy.
Yes, they're not buying it. You picked up your
guitar.
You hit the road. Come on, you're potty trained and on your way, right? So.
A leave from 2nd grade to go on tour,
Yeah, it could happen. No, yeah, and so tell me about. I want to know about kind of the dynamic of the band members of Lillian Axe, because you've gone through several different lead singers, but you and Michael have kind of kept the same throughout. So tell me about what that dynamic's been like for you.
Well, it's been I would say tumultuous, but I wouldn't even say that, because it's been there's been a lot of people in the band, and then it's not like they come in and they leave. I mean, we're 40 years old, the band is, right? So
yeah, they're not quitters.
Right. You have some changes. And it's all, the great part about it is it's always been just to people making life changes of their own. It's never been like, couple of guys got in a big fight and they refused to play together. So one of them had to leave. Never, ever at all. It's always been, good positivity until somebody said, hey, look, I either don't want to tour. I don't want to do records. I'm tired of the music business. I'd rather just go do my own thing and stay local, that kind of stuff. So that's where that happened. So what happened is, back in the day, we had opened up for Rat and Queensryche and Poison on a bunch of dates as an unsigned band, but we were so popular in the area, they put us on this tour to do a bunch of dates because we were drawing tickets. And so that's when Marshall Burrell, who was managing Rat at the time, called me and said, look, Robin Crosby loves the band. He wants to produce you. I'll get you a record deal. Do you want a deal? I'm like, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. So Irving Azoff, who was the president of MCA, signed us at that time. As we were doing the record, he left the label. So right in the middle of us doing the record, the president who signed you leaves. So that's a first indicator something's not going to go right. But we did at that time, but they signed me and they forced me to basically change members of the band. And Michael was in the band at the time. Michael was going through a bunch of personal substance abuse issues at the time and wind up not going on. So I reformed the band, and that's when we did our first album at MCA. So here we go, like 7-8 years ago, Michael and I reunited again, and he's back in Lillian Axe. So it was a wonderful thing. And, just to have him, even though we were apart for a few years, he's back in now, and he's like the greatest guy, and an amazing bass player, professional, and a great human being. So it's great that, those kind of changes, you go through those. We've had a few singer changes, but every one has been, an integral, just as important part of the legacy of the band as the other singers. They just, for reasons of their own, they decide they want to go do different things after, years. People get burnt out on this business, man. I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, yeah.
You look around, it's amazing. It's funny because, some people be like, well, this band never changed members. Have you ever noticed most of the bands that have never changed members only have 3 guys in the band?
Right. Yeah.
When you got 5 or 6 guys in the band, the odds are a little higher that you're going to go through, right? So,
yeah.
But, the great part about it is Lillian Axe isn't just about me or this one or that one. It's about anybody that's been in the band. It's about the fans. It's about the crew and the management and our families, everything. It's part of the legacy. The great mainstay has always been the fact that, Michael and I are together. Sam, the other guitar player, has been with me 23 years now, I believe. So he's when you have a long history, I mean, how many people, most people in 40 years, they've been married 3 or 4 times, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But
20 years is no short amount of time, like that's
exactly.
a long time to maintain any relationship, so.
It's true. But I mean, we're still out. I think, the band right now is very, very solid. I think that it's inside the happiest that I've ever been. And I think it really shows on the new album.
Yeah. And so tell me about Brent and working with Brent. You brought him in was it right at the beginning of COVID?
Well, kind of a little bit before that, but I have a side project Michael and I do, and Brent sings for. It's called Sledgehammer. And we wanted to have some fun because it's great to go out and play covers of your faves, right? So we put it together, Michael and I and Brent and Guy Gelso, the drummer for Zebra, and we put Sledgehammer together. And we went out and we were doing everything from Deep Purple to King Crimson to Yes to Floyd, Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Sabbath, you name it. All classic rock heavies, right? All arena rock, we call it. So we started doing that, and that's where I met Brent. He came in as a singer, and I'm like, man, who is this cat? He's like 6'4". He's a big giant, like he's a Viking, and got an amazing voice and the nicest, sweetest guy you'll ever meet. And I'm like, man, I can't believe, I know everybody. I can't believe I never heard of him before. So he came in and he was with Sledgehammer for a while. And then he was in another band for like 10 years or so that was his bread and butter and that he was playing. So he couldn't do much Sledgehammer because he had to play. That was it. The other thing was his gig, his job. So I knew him because we were put on I knew he was going to work when there was a show on NBC a few years ago called Constantine. I don't know if you remember
Yes.
that.
So I read about this. And so, yeah, tell me the story of Constantine and how you guys kind of built that from that into where you're at now.
Yeah. So at that time, our singer, Brian Jones, was going through some personal stuff. And we got asked to do this. And Brian had disappeared for a little bit. So I was like, oh my God, we're going to be on NBC. I've got to, we're going to be on this episode, featured in this episode. I'm not going to say, we can't do it. So I said, Brian, what do I do? He goes, just get a replacement. So we did. And I said, okay, first guy I thought about was Brent. So Brent came in and filled in for that episode. And just in that band environment, we just it was different than being in Sledgehammer, right? Come to rehearsal, do you gigs that. But here we're out on the road filming a TV show, and you're actually an acting part of the band. I just realized, man, this guy he's special. He really is. And so when we parted ways with Brian, he was, he was already immediately the first choice. And so he's been with me for 3 years. And in addition to being a beast, when people hear him on this record and see him out live, he's going to be very well appreciated. And he is one of my best friends in the world, the sweetest, nicest guy you'll ever meet. And, I think God puts people in your lives. You may not get them when you want them to be in your life, but he puts them in there when it's the right time that only he knows about. And this is worked out. So he's the guy. Hopefully he stays the guy, for the next 100 years.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And so you talk about Sledgehammer and cover songs and everything, and that kind of leads me to want to ask you about Black Earth. Tell me about Black Earth and kind of that tribute band that you had.
Yeah, my brother Craig, who actually was a drummer for a Black Label Society for about 10 years, back in the early 2000s, I think, late 90s, he started in that, and he was there for like 10 or 11 years. He and I wanted to do, we grew up very close to each other, and we wanted to do, something together. So we put a band together called Near Life Experience and put 2 albums out. And it was me and Craig, and then he got that gig with Zack. But we did a Black Sabbath tribute called Black Earth, and we did all the early stuff from the first few records, even into the Dio stuff. And we had a blast with it. It was a lot of fun because it was like doing cover songs is great because it's less pressure. It's like I'm just getting up and playing and just having fun, as opposed to Lillian Axe gig where it's like, I'm there early, we're sound checking, we're doing this, doing meet and greets, doing that. I'm like, how we doing in merch? What's going on here? Meet people, talk to people, get ready. Oh, I got a show too to do, So it's a lot more involved than just like show up with the guitar and go play some fun covers with a bunch of cool guys, So, we did that. And now, I don't know if you knew about this, but I have an Iron Maiden tribute. Michael
I did not know that. Oh, that's awesome.
Maiden LA. We started about a year ago. We've done only a few shows because of everybody's schedule, but it is so, if you get a chance, there's some videos out there. It's a blast. And we do like 20 songs. So their songs are already long. So it's like a 2.5-hour show. And we do everything from the beginning all the way through to like Fear of the Dark. And it's so good. I mean, the guys in the band are just top-notch players. Michael Max is a bass player. I don't do anything without Michael on bass. So it's a lot of fun too.
Tell me the name of the band again.
Maiden LA, like for Louisiana.
LA, okay. Yep. Okay.
It's a lot of fun, man. Yeah. So, I wish I had more time to do everything, but schedules are tight, and then the other guys' schedules too, for their other gigs too as well. Yeah,
and that's awesome. And I'm sure I saw your brother live with Black Label Society, in the early 2000s, because I used to be a big fan of Zack, and
right.
And I mean, I wanted to talk to you about Zack's, guitar playing, because you labeled him as like a virtuoso. So I didn't realize, when you said that your brother is actually the drummer for the band, which is really awesome. I mean, like I have memories of like interviewing Zack in the early 2000s, and like I went on his tour bus, and like the first thing he said, like, Steve, how long have you been sleeping with my wife?
He's enough. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I met him a couple of times when Craig was out playing with him, and you know, Craig would call me, and they'd both been drinking, and he'd be on the phone with me, rambling for about 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, let me talk to Craig real quick. Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, he's a consummate pro. You know, he's one of the you know, the guys out there doing it that, you know, is he does what he does, and he does it very well. And
Yeah.
he's you know, I like when a musician not only is very serious about what they do, but that they also have a funny side to them, you know, because all us musicians are like, we all wanted to be one of the Monty Python guys at one time, you know. Well,
Yeah.
so you know, I have a podcast too called The Love and War Show, and it's me and Todd Schmidt, and it's nothing but stupidity and fun and rambling and silliness. You got to go watch. Yeah,
I got to check that out. I'm jotting this down. So
go to YouTube and put The Love and War Show, Steve Blaze. We just decided to do it our own, and we filmed like 40 episodes. So we're going to bring it back again this year after we get, you know, everything situated with you know, the album coming out and everything. And we have I ghost hunt too, so I have a documentary coming out towards the end of the year that my main man Todd Schmidt, who is not only directed our new videos, editing that night, but he's directed and edited this documentary on my ghost hunting team too. So Todd does everything with me too as well. And so we got lots of things in the fire, but he's my co-host on the Love and War Show. And it's funny stuff, man. So I can't wait to get it back out again.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you, it's fun doing a podcast, right? Like you get to
yeah. I didn't think I would be so addicted to doing it. I'm like, you know, we were going to do it for an hour. Next thing you know, it's like 2.5 hours. And Todd's like, okay, I think it's time to. I'm like, no, man, come on, keep going. This is fun. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. And Zoom has brought a whole new, you know, game change. I mean, through COVID. Like, I mean, I used to do all these interviews with bands at concerts, you know, and now I can talk to bands all over the world, anywhere, you know, and it's just it's a game changer. Yeah, for sure. So it's really cool. So I want to know, kind of 1995, the band went on a hiatus and kind of returned in 99 with Fields of Yesterday. Tell me about when you brought the band back and kind of that dynamic when everything came back together.
Well, I mean, we had been nonstop for like, just since the first album was 8 years, but we first got signed. But prior to that, you know, I'd been on the road for like 4 years, just, you know, trying to, you know, reach a dream everybody's out there doing. So at that point, you know, we had 5 albums under our belt, and started writing for the next album. Now, this was around the time where IRS was, you know, on the way out. The label was not doing well, etc. So, you know, so it's like, you know, let's regroup, sit here. And then a couple of the guys, you know, I started writing songs that would later be on Waters Rising. And I kind of got the idea that they just thought that, you know, it wasn't popping commercial enough, so to speak, that I was evolving and changing, and not really changing so much, just doing what I did. I don't think about it. It's just, this is how it goes. But I'd written, you know, the majority, 99% of everything before that. So it wasn't like a drastic change. When you know, it's the same writer, you're going to have the same elements. But a couple of guys felt like, you know, they wanted to go do their own thing. And then Tommy, drummer, got the gig with Godsmack for a little while. Yeah. And so in the meantime, I'm like, all right, well, take this time to kind of regroup. And my brother Craig and I had always talked about doing a project. So I said, let's pursue this. So we did. So we started from scratch, and we put 2 Near Life Experience albums out, which just got re-released. You can get them on iTunes now. And it was a whole new animal. It was like no label to, you know, I need another True Believer. I need another Show Low Love. It wasn't any of that. And we were just off on our own tangent. And those albums are really, people that got into it, understood it and got it, are over the top about it. They're like, we had some die-hard Near Life Experience fans. And then we got the offer. You know, I started noticing I'm getting really slammed a lot for not doing anything with Lillian right now. It's about time. And I started to get over some of the needing to breathe a little bit kind of thing, because when you're the leader of a situation, you rarely get the credit, but you get all the blame if something doesn't go well. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah.
everybody was like, oh, well, things are going great. Oh, we all did such a great job. Oh, we all great. Things aren't going well. You know, label's not doing it. Steve, what are you doing about that? Or why aren't you letting, you know, you start to become the brunt of it because you're the leader, and that's fine. That's cool. But I needed a little breather myself. And so now it's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm ready to go. So we got an offer to put out Fields of Yesterday. They wanted some material, this label, Pony Canyon in Japan. And they wanted material. I said, I have nothing new. I don't have a new album, anything. I've got lots of demos. I said, well, what quality are the demos? I said, they're decent. You know, they're demos. So we put this album out, and it was a collection of demoed songs for, you know, for, gosh, I started writing back for the Poetic Justice album, you know, so, and the songs were really good. I mean, the quality was okay. It was, you know, demo. We go in and we played it raw, but people liked it, and it got us kind of back up and running a little bit. We got to go to Japan and started, you know, getting the heat from everybody to get the band back in full swing again. And so we kind of on and off did a little bit. We did a live album 2002. That came out really well. And then it got to the point where, all right, man, let's go. Let's get this figured out. And at that time we were, I think we were in Germany, Bang Your Head Festival. And then Ron said, look, man, I don't feel like going to do another record. I don't want to tour. I'm burnt out on this stuff. I just want to kind of do my thing at home, stay home. And so that's when it's like, okay, all good, brother. And then that's when we got Derek Lefebvre and then did the Waters Rising album.
Yeah, okay. And so let's actually, before we get into the new album, we talked about Constantine, and I want to kind of circle back to another TV experience that you had. You were on the Jerry Springer show. Tell me about that experience.
Well, I was trying to see who my baby daddy was. No, I'm kidding. No, I got, we were in Chicago, and we had a couple of dates left on the tour. And a girl that was, I don't know, she had interviewed me for the Chicago Tribune or something. And she was like a producer or something for the Jerry Springer show, which they filmed in Chicago. And so they came to the show that night. She goes, look, we're doing this thing in 2 days. It's on groupies, and it's on how you can be in a rock band and still have a monogamous relationship. And then we're going to have Peter Steele from Typo Negative, who's a groupie hound, so she put it, you know. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. That's cool. Because it wasn't when Jerry Springer was like the fist fighting circus act that it became. So it was still like, you know, like a Montel show or something, you know, something with a little bit of maybe, you know, just a hint of some journalistic credit, you know. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. So they took care, flew me in, took care of me and that kind of stuff. So we were in Detroit the next night. We did a show, and I drove back after the show in the middle of the night, got to the studio, hung out in the green room for like 4 hours because their main groupie never showed up. So they had to like reschedule the taping and everything. So that's what it was about. It was like a just audience full of girls that most of them had been at our show the other night. And I got introduced to it because I had a monogamous relationship, and I was known for being, you know, straight up and loyal to the person I was with at the time. And so that was it. It was kind of silly because they, you know, I could tell they were starting to want to be sensationalized in their cast. And so they had some groupies on there that had been with R. Kelly. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. And one of the girls, this is disgusting, but I try to say it tactfully. She had a little baggie with the birth control device that R. Kelly supposedly had used when he was with her. She had it in a little baggie and showed her.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that, you get the hint of that?
Yeah.
So it was like, what did I get myself into? So anyway, I did my thing. I was like, yeah, Steve Blaze and all the girls were like, hey, Steve. And I'm like, hey, let's go. Good to see you. Yeah, I have a girlfriend. Okay, that's it. All right, next. Yeah, it was just kind of silly. I just thought it would be fun, and didn't know what to get into. But that was my Jerry Springer experience. I didn't get a chair hit over my head or accused of having 4 babies all over the world or anything like that. No, it was just like, oh, you're one of the good guys. Okay, cool, no problem. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you dodged the bullet then, I guess, right? So no, but it got a good, cool experience at the same time. I want to also actually ask you about the Louisiana, Music Hall of Fame, and how you were inducted into that, not just once, but twice, like once with the band and once solo, right?
yeah, I think I'm the only person that's had that honor. So I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I'm really happy about that.
You're like the Stevie Nicks of the, the Bay, right? Like being able to get in with both
I
bands.
guess
It's pretty,
the
yeah.
brunette Stevie Nicks. So we got inducted. The band got inducted in 2010, and then what is it? Last year they inducted me for guitar player songwriter. So I mean, it's one of those huge honors, and I mean, you go through so much in this industry and playing and touring, the ups and downs, and there's a lot of like, just a lot you have to persevere. Let's put it that way. And
Yeah.
not just physically but emotionally and stuff. And but that's great because the rewards are what make it all worth it. And so being inducted even one time was just like, God, I could, I feel like, God, there's some good closure, there's some it's something they can't take away from you ever, so yeah, it's a huge honor. I'm very happy, and I'm happy, like I said, all the members of this band, past and present, anybody, family, friends, crew, they're all a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any sign that you were going to be inducted again? Like was that a total surprise for you?
No, I mean, they let me know. I talked to my stage manager, Al, is the one that kind of told me, because he had spoken to Mike Shepard, that the head of the Hall of Fame. And he goes, yeah, they want to, induct you solo as well. I said, let me think about it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
so,
real quick.
And they did it.
Yeah.
They actually did it in 2 different locations. Did it once in Baton Rouge at a headlining show. And then we did a festival called Rock in the Bayou. Rock in the Bayou, we were with Firehouse, Night Ranger, Autograph. And then so they came up and did it again because it was in front of like 5,000 or 6,000 people, and they wanted to do it another time. So it was very nice. I even got a ring. I didn't wear it today, but I got a Hall of Fame ring for that with the dates engraved in it, my name on it. So I was like, that's cool. Got some jewelry out of it, but it's an honor. I look at my plaques every day and I'm like, all right, all the years and years of no sleep and working hard and ups and downs, it's right there. It's worth it.
Getting recognized, exactly. So let's talk about the new album, right? From Womb to Tomb, first new album with Lillian Axe in a decade. Tell me about the process of pulling it together, and like what made this experience unique for you as you went through this kind of transition with Brent as well, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I had the idea for this record a long time ago. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine reminded me, hey, like 9 years ago, you told me that the next album was going to be called From Womb to Tomb and what it was going to be about. And I was like, wow, I really have. I've had the idea probably in my head for years and years and years. Just had to be the right time to do it. And I wanted it to be conceptual, but not using the term conceptual to scare people off, right? So it's loosely based on all the lessons I've learned since being born, that I can remember, that I feel are the same lessons and ideas that everyone goes through, no matter what your path in life is. So from the start, as soon as that child is conceived, it's an eternal entity. It exists forever. Whatever your belief is, I honestly don't think at all, like some people do that. As soon as you die, that's the end of it. You're mud again. I don't believe that whatsoever. So I wanted to write about, birth and the realization, when we first start to have memories as a child, all the things we've learned through life, learn about love and evil and strength and becoming a real man or woman, growing up, maturing, how to fight these things, how to look at life, all the way up to the day the man stands on the top of the mountaintop and says, all right, I got an idea on this now. My idea is that we were never meant to really fully understand right now. This is part of our journey. Accept it, love it, breathe it, relax, do it, just follow the right trail. And then the ascension into heaven or wherever you go when you pass. My belief system tells me heaven. People have different ideas. That's fine. But it's ascension anyway when you leave here. It's moving forward. And it's a powerful emotional record, man. It is the most unique thing we've ever done. And when I let people hear certain tracks and I look over and they have tears in their eyes, so the emotional aspect and the power and the themes behind these songs they're just it's hard to try to really, they're epic. They're really, that's been the word everybody said. There's so much involved in this record. And to go in there with Brent, first time I'm recording with him, really like the first real album recording that he's ever done, just smash it. And, and that's because he's the singer. That's the first thing everybody really pays attention to. But the band, man, Wayne, Michael, and Sam, they just killed it. They knocked it out of the park. I mean, and I say that I should be used to it. I've been playing with them for so long, but sometimes you take it for granted how good and how talented and together people are that are with you all the time. And it just kind of reiterated that. And the engineer, Kent Bruce, was great. The studio was amazing. Everything, the crew was great. And it really fell into place. And we recorded this thing over like 3 years. Like we recorded the first track, Breathe, was the first thing we recorded. Then I would go right into the next track. So as I wrote and recorded and picked the songs, I wanted to be in that mental frame of what's the next part in life. I got to get into that. I didn't do the first track last and switch around. I wanted to record and get in that mindset chronologically as these things happen in somebody's life. And at the end of it, it was just like, man, it hadn't hit me yet because I don't have the CD in my hands yet. But after the artwork and everything and the mastering, and it's just like when I get it in my hands, I'm probably going to actually start crying or just melt and maybe even have a drink. And I don't drink, so I might have a cognac or something. Because it's been so much work. And so, not just the physical work. People don't realize how tedious it is to make a record, no matter what level, even like young bands starting out, there's so much work put into it. That's why when I hear people say things, oh, that movie sucked or that album sucked, I say, man, you realize how much, whether you like something or not, those kids or those guys or that crew, how much work people put into creating something for you spend $9.99 on it, which is like cost of a Happy Meal now. And you get amazing work that people have put into for so long, and you just pass it up. Oh, I don't like the new Iron Maiden album. It sucks. No, it doesn't. You may not care for it, but you know how much hard work and how good that stuff is and how amazing it is. And just to pass it off after one listen, people are like that nowadays. We don't really pay much attention other than our initial glances at something. I think we need to all sit down and just absorb and relax and pay attention to those kind of things. So when I'm like, man, we put so much work into this thing, you start realizing creativity and things that other people put out there for the world to enjoy. That's something to be appreciated and respected more than anything.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, the album goes through lots of flows, and like life, like you say, right? I mean, it has highs, it has lows, it has. I mean, finally, clarity is spoken point as well. it's kind of built in there, and you can feel the energy and the different dynamics that kind of go throughout the album. So, you know, I dig it. And I know you want it to be listened to in its entirety with distraction free, which is, you know, already a big ask, but this is an album that kind of, you know, that kind of would find value to that. Right. So, I mean,
I think so.
big.
I think that it needs to, if you listen to it like that, if you have the ability to sit there and just sit there for 1 hour, so hour and 7 minutes long, get in a right head frame and just listen. And I think it'll hit you and resonate with the listener in a different way than just like, let me pick a couple of tracks and zip in and out here and there, because it all flows very well together. And they're musical segues that help kind of take it from one thought and one theme to the next. And so it's you know, it's something that's it's definitely different than what we've done in the past, you know, but it's still the Lillian Axe sound and the power.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I want to ask you one more question before we wrap, and that is, you played so many shows all over the place and toured. You mentioned Japan. I'm curious, is there a show in the Bay Area that you remember and that had a unique experience at?
In the Bay Area, I think there was a few of them. We haven't played that much out there, but what was the name of that? There's a place called the Fillmore there.
The Fillmore, yes, yeah, that's my favorite spot to see shows. So you hit it.
Played there. That was a great show. And then I just remember doing one show with Arcade, Stephen Piercy's band. We did like a co-headline thing at a club. Is there one called the Bacchanal?
I'm not familiar with that one. No.
I think that was the name of it, but I remember that show and doing that with Stephen, and because we had done shows with Rat. It was the first time I'd seen him in a long time since he was, you know, out of Rat and doing his own side thing. And I just remember it was a great show because it was more towards the beginning of our careers and things were starting to pick up around Poetic Justice time. And I just remember just how much I thought the area was beautiful. And I just, it was just great to go. And, you know, it was a club, there's, you know, packed small club, 500-600 people. And just to realize, hey, we've never really played here before. And there's this many people out here supporting us. And it was a lot of fun. We had a good time, but it's been a while since we've been in the area, to be honest with you, but hopefully we get out there soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Steve, like you said, you had lots of irons in the fire, so much going on, and so many cool things that I wasn't even aware of that I need to check out and I'm excited about. So appreciate the time, and I know you're looking forward to this album rolling out in September. So you know, right around the corner, and people will get to hear.
Actually, August 19th is that.
Oh, August. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And we're playing the Monsters on the Mountain Festival that same day in Gatlinburg. Nice. We leave the next day for the UK for a string of dates. That first time we've been in the UK in 10 years. First time we toured there in like 20 something years. So we're excited about that. Hopefully it cools off a little bit over there. But so we got a lot going on. We have a new video for I Am Beyond coming out in the next couple of weeks. And just excited, man. You got my number. You know how to get in touch with me. Please reach out to me. Keep me posted. I'll let you know as things progress.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks, Steve. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, man. Good luck with everything.
That was my interview with Steve Blaze from Lillian Axe here on Concert Pipeline. And that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. I have a couple of stories to wind us out here on the program. COVID is not going away, it seems, anytime soon. I know a lot of people who have it and have had it very, very recently. I had it, you know, a couple months back now at this point, but it's on fire. Some people are bringing it back from Hawaii. You know, it's going around, and it's not too evil or anything right now, but it's annoying for sure, and people are getting sick. So Jenny Lewis canceled all her indoor concerts over COVID-19 concerns. And She'd been scheduled to undertake a 9-run date of shows in the US this September. She'd announced back in May, and posting on Twitter, representatives for Lewis said that the decision had been made out of an abundance of caution for the ongoing pandemic, and asserted that she would not be performing at any indoor venues for the remainder of the year. It's interesting because you would think that rather than canceling him, you might reschedule them to an outdoor venue. It's still pretty warm, I think, anywhere in the United States. So I think she'd be pretty safe to schedule any of those shows at an outdoor venue in the same location. But maybe they're all booked and she can't get any spots there because of the short turnaround time. So the thread continued to say that all of Lewis's festival appearances would go ahead as scheduled, including those at Sound on Sound. So there's again, there's a handful of dates that were canceled by Jenny Lewis. None of them here in the Bay Area or anything. Okay, so there's a band called Vended, and you probably haven't heard of them, but you know some of their parents. They said they didn't get help from their dads in Slipknot. We learned this shit by ourselves. Corey Taylor and Sean Clown, Crahan's sons, play in the rising metal band. They've spoken out of how they've carved out their own path in the music industry without the help of their dads from Slipknot. Corey Taylor and Sean Crahan are the fathers of the rising metal band's members, Griffin and Simon, respectively. The group is completed by a couple of other people. During a new interview with Kerrang, Vended opened up about how some people assume that they're at a significant advantage compared to other new acts, owning the success of and the talent of their famous parents. Yeah, we got more help than other bands do, and I'm honest about that. Simon told the outlet. I'm not going to say we didn't, because that's not fair to who our fathers are. They've helped us, but they've never, ever, ever written our music. Never showed us how to play, never showed us how to perform on stage. They've never done any of that. When people say, oh, Griffin's dad probably showing him how to scream, how he does, Griff is learning on his effing own. Griff went on to recall how he began learning to scream in middle school, but said he understands why people might think that Vended got all their musical talent from their fathers. It's learning to scream. That's the skill that's may or may not be handed down from Slipknot, apparently. So, it's surprising. I kind of say that's kind of too bad, because if you have a father in a very famous band, you should be looking out for his kid and handing down some skills. I talked to the two sons of Lars Ulrich from Metallica at Bottle Rock a couple months back, and we didn't talk about Lars at all. I made it just about them and their path to where they got. But it would be very difficult to say that there's not some inspiration there and not some direction when you see your dad playing and really putting all that work in, taking that work ethic that they have to get to where they got, and applying it to that situation, right? Okay, well, a giant inflatable Ozzy Osbourne is touring the US. Fans in South Dakota are currently able to see Ozzy at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. It debuted this year at San Diego's Comic-Con, where Ozzy was as well. Actually, he was doing a comic book signing or something there. I don't know. He had some signing that he was doing, I know. It's embarked on a tour of the US to promote the iconic rocker's forthcoming Patient Number 9 album. The ultra-size Ozzy measures in at 25 feet tall and was designed by acclaimed comic artist Todd McFarlane, who Ozzy was at Comic-Con with, actually. It's made a few stops on the tour, during which fans will be able to pose with Ozzy and its accompanying Patient Number 9 ambulance van, having appeared on Venice Boardwalk and the rooftop of Gold Diggers in LA along the Vegas Strip. So again, it's made its way all the way across the country to South Dakota. Continue touring until September 9th. This is it right now, right? Ozzy doesn't need to tour. He just needs to send up a balloon to around the country to promote his album, because it's being talked about on in news stories and here on Concert Pipeline and other programs as well, I'm sure. So thus far, Osbourne has previewed his new album with 2 singles. The guest fill track, which arrived back in June, and last month's Degradation Rules. So maybe you'll get lucky and the balloon will show up in a town near you. All right, one more. Well, we got two more stories, actually. Two more stories here on the music news. Madonna holds Central Park roller disco to celebrate the upcoming release that she has. The event also featured Questlove and Nile Rodgers. And that was in New York City, of course, in celebration of her upcoming compilation album, Finally Enough Love, 50 number ones. Pretty big thing to be proud of, I guess. The album, which arrives on August 19th, was celebrated at Disc Oasis Central Park in New York City. Madonna reunited with Nile Rodgers and spoke about the time they made Like a Virgin together. Questlove served as a DJ at the event, playing Madonna hits alongside disco classics all night while fans danced and skated in Central Park. Did Madonna skate is the question. Did Madonna skate? Because that's something I want to see. And I don't know that it says if she skated or not. But she was there apparently. So that's cool. All right, last story is a local one, and it's about Green Day, local band that played at Outside Lands in San Francisco. They performed with a 10-year-old fan. We love Montgomery. Thanks for jamming with us, they wrote online. They invited a 10-year-old fan on stage to perform with them during their headline show at Outside Lands. They topped the bill at the 3-day San Francisco event on Saturday, delivering a career-spanning 22-track set at the Land's End main stage. At one point in the gig, Billy Joe Armstrong singled out a young crowd member called Montgomery, who the singer nicknamed Monty, fitting, and asked him to join Green Day for a special performance. Do you really know how to play? They do that, right? The Green Day gets fans on stage and lets them play with them, and then like kind of gives them a guitar or something, I think. He said, all right, kid, get your ass up here. And then they shared footage of the wholesome moment on social media. Armstrong helped the 10-year-old kid put on a white guitar, and the youngster fist pumped at the crowd. The child, who sported an American Idiot style black and red getup, then began strumming along to a cover of Operation Ivy's 1989 track Knowledge before making his way down the runway toward the audience. Look at that, he's got stage presence too, huh? That's pretty cool. And so Armstrong told the young fan that he could keep the guitar. Yep, see, knew that was coming. He'd played on stage and led a chant of Monty's name. So I'm sure that kid is beyond stoked. I mean, that's such a cool opportunity for that kid. All right. Well, that is our show for today. And next time on Concert Pipeline, I believe we'll have Johnny A on the program. Also, I want to do a plug for Concert Pipeline in terms of where you can find it. We obviously visually you can find Concert Pipeline on YouTube. Our programs are all on there now, and also Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Music. Put a lot of work in to putting up the whole back catalog of Concert Pipeline episodes on all three of those platforms. We're on Spotify now, and we were not before, so that is awesome. So like, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff. Check us out in those locations. Really cool to have all the back catalog of almost 400 episodes that we've done at this point of Concert Pipeline up online. And of course, back in the day, that before COVID happened and everything, we weren't doing video episodes. So it's a whole audio catalog, but we have lots of content now that we're bringing to YouTube. So check us out in all those locations. Thank you for tuning in, and for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.